Sundown, on my last day with the Low Rider S. My conclusion is, I love it. Drop dead gorgeous, effortlessly powerful. It's the kind of machine you want to live with, the kind I don't want to give back at sunrise tomorrow.
But, let's screw tearful goodbyes. I mean, there's a few cold riding hours left between now and dawn, and this Harley isn't afraid of the dark.
In the long history of the motor company, only 3 models have piqued my interest: the FXR, the XR1200, and this Low Rider S.
So, Harley files, what am I getting at? The FXR was a stripped down FLT with more power, less vibration, and cornering suspension, and the XR1200 was a style throwback to the famous flat tracker. The Low Rider S, of course, is a perfect bit of both. It's a Dyna on a diet, getting the same sport treatment as the original FXR, but it is also a style symbol. The humpback seat taken from my beloved flat tracker, the heavy breather air intake, also a nod to the racer. But the night reveals something else. Blacked out parts and control buttons, bikini fairing, tall risers, drag bars. That's an homage to the dark side, and the club-style dynos that you might find parked outside sketchy nightclubs or in police impound lofts.
Ripping off Jax Teller's ride from Sons of Anarchy was a clever move for Harley. They say the S-Series is going to attract a younger customer, someone who might outlive the current crop of gray-haired hog enthusiasts. And with this dark beauty, I think they're right.
My only visual complaint is the cast aluminum wheels. Harley calls them scorched chrome, a color you've probably known for a while as brown. And they look dull and cheap in real life, not nearly glossy enough to match the inky black tank, nor the shimmering gold logo.
The thing about riding in the middle of the night is, there are a lot of lonely roads. Lonely roads to fill with 115 foot-pounds of torque, more than any other S-Series bike and 15 more than the standard Low Rider. And because it's a Harley, horsepower is somewhere between who cares and good enough.
In the civilized world, we'd say that the Low Rider S has a 1,801cc V-twin, but this is a American machine, so I have to say that it has a 110 cubic inch Screaming Eagle twin cam.
Oddly enough, the beefy power plant doesn't feel more powerful than the 103 that the other dynos get. The only difference I noticed is that this engine flexes its muscles further up the tack. Where the 103 hits its stride around 3,000 RPM, this 110 loves to sit above 3,500.
Problem is, the limiter is set at a tame 5,500 RPM, so I always find myself bouncing off the glass ceiling. It's as annoying as a 2-period hockey game. I mean, just when things start to get exciting, it's over.
But raising the rev limiter is a simple aftermarket ignition fix, and once that's done, the Low Rider S fills the night with smooth, heart-pounding power. Chinatown, a labyrinth of neon alleyways, not the place for a cumbersome Harley. But the Low Rider S has a nimble triangle, minimal pullback at the bars, mid-controls, 27-inch seat. Hitting all 3 corners means leaning into a flickable riding position. And I've got the premium ride suspension to back it up, emulsion shocks that are quicker to turn in, more planted in a corner, but also more comfortable on rubbish roads.
Now, I didn't want to say for a Harley anywhere in this review, but the truth is that 305 kilograms only really passes for lightweight at a Harley dealership. In the same way, the brakes are good for a Harley. I have dual 300mm discs. They do stop quicker than most hogs, but I still have to squeeze the shit out of the front lever and balance that with a few pumps on the rear. It's typical Harley numbness, and the doctor's orders are the same as usual: steel braided cables and better pads. On that note, it's important to understand what a sport package does to a Harley. It makes it handle better in the everyday sense, obviously, but the Low Rider S is still no canyon carver.
The lean angle ain't much, and it isn't even consistent. Bank left and you'll scrape the foot peg at 30.5 degrees, bank right and you'll scrape the exhaust at 29.5.
And of course the wheels are a long way apart with a ton of weight in between, so the chassis does squirm around a bit in a corner. I will say though that for a bike with a 30.5 degree rake, the front end feel is actually pretty good. It's not that vague.
Chop shops, shipyards, bad neighborhoods. Tonight they make me nervous because everything on the Low Rider S is worth money.
Harley starts with a standard Low Rider, 17,000 and change here in Canada. And then they add the 110 engine, premium ride suspension, chopped rear fender, ABS, cruise control, 5.5-inch risers, fat 49mm forks, a heavy breather air intake, and the 2-into-2 Tommy gun exhaust from Fat Bob. It's a fortune in parts, and that gives the bike a real worked-on look. In fact, it'd be a $30,000 custom were you to build it yourself using the standard Low Rider and all the accessories from the parts catalog. And yet somehow Harley rolls this Low Rider S off the factory line for only $20,699. I wouldn't change much of it either. The exhaust doesn't look anything like a Tommy gun, if I'm being honest, and it doesn't breathe all that well either, so I'd hack it off and install something with less back pressure and more ground clearance. That way, I'll actually reap the potential power gains from the heavy breather air intake, and I'll get an extra degree of lean angle while I'm at it. Then I'd swap these stubby 2.1-inch shocks. It'll kill me because they're worth $800 and I've never actually bottomed them out. But taller suspension is going to give me another lean angle or two, plus it'll raise the seat height, and that means my knees won't have to make such a sharp bend. Now the only problem is, the sun is about to rise. And this little keyless fob that disables the stock alarm system and lets me start the bike, doesn't belong to me.
My hands are still numb from the vibration of that rubber-mounted engine. My right leg is still burning from the stupidly hot header pipes. My neck is still sore from craning to view a tachometer that sits miles below the line of sight. And in my pocket, I still have this rain sock for the ridiculously exposed air filter. It's hard to forget the Low Rider's flaws. Weird thing is though, I don't want to. So I blew off my meeting with the Harley rep, and I've got myself one more day with the Low Rider S.